Hello, and welcome to Macca in Your Attic, a Paul or Nothing spin-off show where the guest always shows me their junk, misses. Together, we're going to go through their attic today, sift through the tit and the tat to find the primo McCartney/Beatle material. We're going to see five-ish uniquely fun, strange, sentimental items from their Paul McCartney/Beatle collections, each with their own unique story. As always, hit me up if you want to have a chat, either on the email, which is paulmccartneypod@gmail.com, or on the Twitter, which is @McCartneyPod. Today, everyone, I am joined by one of the co-hosts of the wonderful Trimming the Fat podcast, where they do something all of us Beatle fans do, which is give their 2 cents and tell professional musicians how to organize their track listing. You know, I'm powerless to not listen to content like that. He was very kind to have me on his show for a couple of episodes just shortly, and now I'm glad to be able to return the favor. Folks, please welcome to the show, Paul Nicholson of Trimming the Fat. How are we, Paul?
Yes, yes, I'm good actually. Yeah, it's Trimming the Musical Fat.
Oh my gosh, Trimming the Musical Fat. Oh my gosh.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay. It's okay.
The first gaff. I'll make sure it's correct in the title at least in the show. Oh my gosh.
It's okay.
I've got it written there. I think I just read it as Trimming the. Oh god.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It is what it says. So,
I can imagine a huge hook just kind of yanking me off now.
It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. But no, I'm good today. Looking forward to doing this. And funnily enough, actually, earlier on, I was doing McCartney playlists on my iPhone. So that was
classic.
Putting them all. I'm a stickler. I have to have them in chronological order and stuff. So I like doing that kind of thing. So it's quite appropriate today we're doing this.
Is that how you mostly listen to McCartney and Beatles these days, through digital means?
Sometimes, yeah. I like to do like a playlist of all the McCartney singles, and then I'll maybe do a version of all the singles, but alternate versions of them. So just things like that.
Excellent.
Yeah, but I tend to listen to probably the earlier stuff, early to mid stuff, rather than probably like Egypt Station. Maybe I've listened to it maybe 3 times, if that. Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, I've probably listened to it more times than that on vinyl alone. When Spotify did their the 2021 kind of collection of everything, Wrapped. That's it, Wrapped. And it was like, oh, your number one song is She's a Woman from the MTV Unplugged gig, and I'm like, oh yeah. If they could only like digitize my record player so that they knew which songs I was spinning constantly, because a lot more of what I listen to is probably on vinyl these days now. I mean, I'm back in the podcast listening mode at the moment, so all of my cycles to work are listening to people talk. Maybe on the way back, having a sing song at like 1 a.m. But I think I can hear myself. No, was that something else then? I thought I could hear myself coming through. I'll cut that out. No. So anyway, on with the starting question. Let's kick things off. When did you first get into the Beatles/McCartney, and when, more importantly, did you start collecting the memorabilia?
Yeah, so I got into the Beatles and then McCartney. So probably the mid to late 80s. And
tough time.
Yeah. Time for McCartney, yeah. Of course, you didn't know that at the time. But so got into just my dad's Beatles record, a bit similar to yourself. I know your dad had Beatles records and Wings and stuff. So kind of got into the Beatles that way. And then I remember when Give My Regards to Broad Street, my dad had the cassette. And so it was fun being around those times. And then probably around the mid-80s, that's when it's actually one of the first things that I'm going to talk about that's sentimental, actually. Okay. It ties in with that. So is it okay to screen share?
Oh, I don't want to get into your items just yet.
Okay.
No. We'll keep that mystery tantalizing for all the viewers out there. Do you remember the first item you bought, though, with your own money?
Yeah, that's a good question. Probably it might have been Trimming the Live, fantastic. Double CD, the big bulky CD thing you used to get.
Wow, that's a pricey first purchase. That is.
It was second hand, but it was still pricey when you're 16 or 15. Yeah.
Fortunately, I had a fan send me their copy on vinyl, so I don't have to make that tough financial decision. But I'm very glad to own that one. Like even the vinyl, like it's just massive. Same with like a
album, yeah.
Wings Over America as well. Just these titanic releases.
Yeah, I remember it was my mum and dad's. I think it was a hairdresser my mum went to, and it was her hairdresser's husband or boyfriend at the time, and he had the Wings Over America double cassette, which were doing triple vinyl. I remember seeing that in the late 80s, thinking, oh, that's cool, like the Wings Over America.
I don't think I've ever seen a double cassette actually.
Very good.
That's gotta be like that, like a big rock.
Yeah.
So your parents Beatles fans, I take it then?
My dad, not my mum really, but my dad, a massive Beatles fan, and still is to this day. In fact, we've had him on the podcast a couple of times, and talking about, because it was obviously recently the anniversary of John Lennon's murder, passing. So he was talking about the day it happened, and he was on his way to work and had to stop in his van because he was upset because he'd heard the news. So just things like that are interesting from people who were there at the time.
I mean, we're both going to be around for the next sad 2 days whenever they happen, and I'm dreading them. I really am. Don't know what
never
really
happen. I know, but it's just yeah. Hopefully not too soon.
All things must pass. All things must pass away, though, as George once eloquently put it. Mm-hmm. Your items today, have they come from an actual attic, or do you have a Beatle room, quote unquote?
Not really. Not anymore. Probably. Well, I keep although these are, funnily enough, one of the things that I do have is certain CDs, and they're in the living room, but that's the only CDs I own now. I just keep these ones because everything's digital now. So the things are probably stuff that I did have that were physical, but no longer have them physical, although I can show you a picture. So I don't have a Beatles room or anything, but I just kind of have everything digitally now, which maybe isn't helpful for the show, but it's the story behind them that's probably
awesome.
Yeah.
I guess you've cleared out a lot of clutter from your life then.
I have, yeah, very much. I do have some vinyl, but I'd probably be quite shocked. I don't know where I've put it. Picture discs and stuff, but I don't know what I've done.
I got any picture discs. I don't think I have actually. I remember there was a Good Night Tonight one that someone snagged away from me when I was visiting my aunt once. And whenever I go on McCartney's site, he's clearly still got a warehouse full of those We All Stand Together ones.
Oh, yeah.
It's still quite cheap. And I'm like, I really think everyone at MPL thought that was going to sell a little bit more than it did. They need to put out a Wonderful Christmas Time one, actually, with Paul and the Silly Hat on a green disc. I think that'd sell quite well, actually. Maybe have a red one and a white one as well. As many variations as possible.
When we were preparing for our Christmas podcast, we did it a few weeks ago, and it just came out last week. And I was quite surprised when we were kind of looking at the top 10 Christmas songs and their disliked Christmas songs, and the disliked Christmas song that was Wonderful Christmas Time.
People just don't like it. I don't know what it is. People just do not get on with that song. But, you know, there are other McCartney classics that supposedly a lot of people don't like Say, Say, Say. Some people just do not like that song for whatever reason. I mean, I don't know why. I know I'm biased to the point whereby I can't even see my own bias anymore. But Wonderful Christmas Time, I even remember loving that as a kid before even really knowing who the Beatles or Paul was. It's just got a good chorus.
Fun song, isn't it? It's Dr. McCartney experimenting in his laboratory, sort of.
No, like you don't actually realize until you sit down and like kind of break down, like, oh my god, this is a techno Christmas song. This is actually really a lot weirder than anyone ever gives it credit for, really.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's a good song, but it's not one of my favorites. But it's a good song. It's not as bad as people say it is. It's a good song, but it's not.
It nets in like hundreds of thousands a year as well, every Christmas time, which is nice little earner. It's hardly like riding to Jaipur doesn't generate that much revenue every year, but it should. Lovely little song there. But let's talk about the current state of Beatle product, though. Obviously, I made an allusion then to the McCartney 3, 80 different versions. But what do you think of it at the moment? Is there too much product out there, including Beatles, Lennon, Harrison? Apparently, Ringo releases stuff. But do you think that they should space it out? Do you think some of them should take a year off? How do you feel about it?
They should give us even more.
Yes.
No, keep on giving us more. I just wish. I don't really agree with like the McCartney 3, all the 100 million versions. Like for me, I would rather just stick to the archive thing.
Yes.
Because I think physical product, there's less people. I mean, it's still good that we have it in vinyl and stuff, but there's less of a need for it now. So, but I still want to do the archive box sets. And it's great, all the box sets from like you had All Things Must Pass this year and Plastic Ono Band, so, and of course Let It Be and stuff. So I hope they keep doing them, but not the same, different versions of the same album that's just new, really. Just not for me.
Well, it'll be a while before we get the archive version of the new, but just going back to streaming though, I guess unless you are just an avid collector and you want to have all the physical products, this is a golden age of access to new McCartney, new Beatle, new Lennon music, because every time these come out, they go straight on Spotify, they go straight on Apple Music.
Yeah.
And there's no real discrepancies between the product physical and the product digital anymore. Like back in the day, they used to be, you've got, actually even with McCartney 3 Imagined, for about 3 months, you could only listen to the Idris Elba single on the actual physical disc, and then Spotify released that as a single. I guess there's no real pressure to really buy the physical product anymore, but that's because it sells. And I guess if that changed, something might change in the marketing and the way it's released.
Yeah, I did think it was a bit unfair what Paul McCartney did on Flowers and Dirt, the archive. I think on the box set, he put only certain songs could be downloaded if you had the codes. You had to have the box set to get that, and I thought that was a bit unfair for other people.
Well, does he really think that they're not going to be bootlegged immediately anyway? And then there's still like 10 songs you can only get if you go to his website, like in this really defunct ancient like web page. And it's very, very strange, but he could definitely re-release the archive for a Flaming Pie and put all those songs back on, and all the people who own the original archive would probably end up buying that one as well.
Yeah.
But at least the songs would be online as well, though, which is the important thing. But that's why, for example, I want stuff like all the hot hits and cold cuts to come out.
Yeah, that'd be excellent.
I mean, you're a playlist guy. It must be so frustrating to have to make the best of McCartney, and you can't put Water Spout on it, for example.
Yeah, no, definitely, and Oil Crisis and stuff like that. Yeah.
So I'm actually reviewing Ball Crisis for a hot hits and cold cuts episode tomorrow. Actually, what's your take on it? Do you like that one?
It's his answer to punk.
Yes,
it was his at the time, because I think Heather, his stepdaughter, was really into punk at the time, and so he just thought, I'm going to do something that's quite punky. So I think it's a good song. Yeah,
it's an answer to punk. It might not be the right answer.
Yeah,
I just love the lyrics though, because at first I was just kind of just heard it as this like not really paying attention, and then it's about blackheads, boils, and spots. I'm like, that's hilarious. And I know there's a rumor that Heather didn't like it, and that might be why it never really got released. But I'm leaning more towards the fact that maybe she just doesn't want her dad singing about the spots that she probably actually had.
Yeah, I know.
At that time, and it could be Paul saying, you know, punk's just for spotty teenagers as well.
Yeah, it'd be funny if it was on Spotify.
Hey. No, but I mean, the fact that has like that and Waterspout both have to be on a London Town archive box set.
Yeah,
they just have to.
Yeah, I wish you would release time Back to the Egg, because there's so much material.
Mm-hmm.
And it also goes into the chronological order, which I so
yeah. With Back to the Egg, we need Maisie, we need Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Did we meet somewhere before? Same time next year.
Mm-hmm.
So many good tracks from around that time. I found another Heather one that he did, another punk one called SMA, which I'd never heard before.
No, not heard.
It's literally just Paul playing guitar and drums, and Heather reads, you know, SMA baby formula.
Right. Okay.
She just reads the ingredients off of it. And it's only about 30 seconds long. I think it's on an Ubu Jubu somewhere. But yeah, they could do like a quadruple album set of just Paul outtakes. And
you must have some material in the vaults, you know, like that probably won't see the light of day until we no longer have them, probably.
Well, yeah, like this episode I'm doing is 1977, and I've got all the ones that have been released, but in addition to that, you've got Mambo Me Baby, One Woman, El Toro Passing, 12 of the Clock, Down Francisco Way, Running Around the Room, Two Little Fairies, 12 of the Clock. Oh no, I've read the one out twice. Firebird Drama, Back in Time, Lonesome Tears. There's just dozens and dozens of songs that never even got to the bootlegging phase. And these are songs that were either not shown publicly or are just part of Paul's private collection of home recording demos. But you know, it makes you wonder what lengths these bootleggers had to go through in the first place, who they had to bribe, the people they had to have on their side to get all of this stuff out in the first place. Because every time a new bootleg would come out, there'd have to be a meeting at NPL where Paul's just, what's going on here? Why has this gotten out? Which one of you is the rat?
That's right. Yeah, it's true. Actually, where did they come from?
Well, they're all like normally printed in like Russia or France. You know, it's never normally under British law, but there needs to be like a dark website to buy all these bootlegs off, because eBay just won't do it. It's so annoying. Apparently, it's counterfeit.
They used to have, in fact, they still do, but record fairs, and particularly in the 90s, you could get lots of any artists, like but yeah, I remember getting like at the time, which was really rare, it was Wings live on the college tour 72, the European tour. I mean, the quality was not great, but it was just great to have it. Denny's, not, what was it, Denny's Blues or something, was it Denny?
No, wasn't it Henry's Blues?
Henry's, that's right.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, I mean, we still need that Wings Over Europe vinyl to come out as well. What's even more insulting, though, you can find it on Spotify because it is there, but it says locked content without a code, and it's like someone needs to hack that right away.
That's it's really good sound quality as well. That came as part of the box set for regular speed.
Oh well, if it sounds anything like the stuff from the Bruce McMouse show film, you know, then it's definitely gonna be worthwhile. Right. So, do you remember any times back in the day when maybe there was something you were after, you couldn't quite get it, someone nabbed something before you, maybe an eBay bidding that went awry? Do you have any Moby Dicks in your back catalogue? You know.
It's a good question, but I don't know if there is anything that I didn't get.
I get to Sam. Thank you very much.
I think YouTube's good. That's a good resource.
I feel like YouTube's getting a little more lax now. They don't seem to have things taken down in the speed stuff was back in the day. Like the litmus test for me is Revolution Take 20, the one that merges Revolution 1 and Revolution 9 together, because that one seemed to be taken down every 6 months, and you have to wait another 6 months before someone would have to get their old bootleg out and re-upload it. But now it's been up for like 5 years now. No one seems to mind that much. Some of the stuff that I'm reviewing right now, it's only been up a couple of weeks, so people are getting bolder, I guess.
Yeah, but in terms of stuff, I think maybe certain books maybe that aren't in print anymore, maybe certain McCartney books. I don't really think there was really anything that I couldn't get that seemed to find a way.
Would books make up the majority of your physical product now then?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you got all the recent entries, the Get Back book, the lyrics, all of that stuff?
I actually have those two, funnily enough. I got my dad the Get Back book because it was his birthday last month. And the lyrics book, I don't know, I thought it was just lyrics, but there's stories behind the songs which I didn't realise. So I haven't got that. I've ordered a new, it's like 50 McCartney songs, and it's like there's a story behind each song.
Oh, is that the one with him with the beard on the front cover? He's like in New York or something. Oh, no,
yeah.
That's quite a new one. We'll flash his name up on screen right now. whoever that author is.
Yeah. But yeah, I do like getting and the Luca Perezzi, who you've had in the show, his book was good. Is it Luca Perezzi?
Luca Perezzi, I believe, but he's one of the goats, man. He needs to get out there and re-release his book to have all the updated stuff on it, though.
Right. 2013, it goes up to
2013. Oh my god, it's nearly been a decade. Good lord.
Yeah.
He'll have so much to add to it as well. There's been so much in that time.
There has. It used to be. Sorry, I was just going to say, it used to be really hard to get McCartney books, maybe up till the late 90s. It was really, you didn't see many books on McCartney. It was all about John Lennon. You didn't see many. It was really hard.
No, I get that, because in every used bookshop in the UK, there's a dozen Lennon books going for a quid, but you'll never see like Fab, An Intimate Life of Paul McCartney, anywhere or anything like that. I wonder how long it'll be before we see the Get Back book in a used bookshop, though.
Yeah.
I think that, I call it a coffee table book. You could just put 4 legs on it and make it a coffee table.
Yeah.
It's big. You could definitely club someone over the head with it. But you know what? Enough of the small talk now. Let's get into your 5 items. Do you want to start us off with number 1?
Yes. What I'll start us off with is I'm going to share my screen and show you the picture. Let's see.
This has never happened on the show, folks, by the way. I don't think I've ever shared a screen before.
I think you're the host, so I think I need to have permission, I think. I mean, I can...
there we go. You can now share, I believe.
Okay. Right. Let me see.
Tension rises.
Venus and Mars.
All right tonight. Dun, dun, dun. I still love that song so much.
Yeah, no, it's great. It doesn't seem to be. Do you know what I'll do? I'll show you it off my phone. Right. So, let's see. So this was a home. I don't know if can you see that? Okay.
So that is. Do you want to tilt it forward just ever so slightly? Okay. Oh, okay. That's the MGM. What is? Oh, is that really like the complete Beatles?
Complete Beatles, and it was a video which I'm surprised they got away with actually because of like how Apple let them do it. I think they own it now. Well, they do, but it was basically it was a VHS video from the early 80s. And I saw that in about 86 maybe. And so my dad had the video and I just used to watch it constantly. So it goes from like the start of the Beatles. It lasted 2 hours. It was almost like the pre-anthology. But I actually think that's better than the anthology. And the reason why it's quite sentimental is because it was through that, watching that video, that I got to learn a lot of the songs. Because there was a lot of the songs on it. And it's really good the way it does it, actually. And yeah, it's only 2 hours. It's not like the anthology, but it's almost, it just captures everything. And it's quite a good pacing to it. And of course, you could see the promo videos at the time as well, like you had Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane. And in the 80s, it was really hard to get that. So for that reason, and it just went through the story, and even songs like Why Don't We Do It in the Road, Because from Abbey Road. So I think that was a really massive influence growing up, because you discovered, you knew some of the songs, but you discovered a lot of the other songs. And so there's a lot of sentimental value in the Complete Beatles for me. And I believe you can still get it on YouTube. You can get it on YouTube, but
I'm having a look on eBay for you right now. It's complete, but with complete spelt like the Beatles, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. On video disc, it's going for £8.99. There's a DVD for £4. VHS £20. VHS £5. I'll buy you this right now if you want, dude. I'll get it for you. Oh my gosh, it's probably because video is so obsolete now that it's not even like kitsch. Like, you know, people still buy cassettes because people still play cassettes, but no one plays videos anymore.
Nobody's. Yeah, I don't even have a video anymore. But it's excellent. Have you seen it yourself?
No, I'm gonna type it in on YouTube as well. Let's have a look. The Complete Beatles. Man looks up something on computer. Yeah, it's all in a bunch of individual parts, I imagine, to avoid copyright. But is this thing like was it licensed by Apple? It actually is just the actual songs, not just covers and stuff then?
No, it's like I said, I think Apple own it now, but it actually had all the original songs and some promo videos, and there's somebody who narrates the story. So although it was kind of unofficial, it looked official, and it was the best you had at the time, because there was no other stories about the Beatles, because The Long and Winding Road, well, it was originally, the anthology was going to be called The Long and Winding Road, but that was like delayed since 1970. So this was like the closest you had to that. And I actually thought the anthology was a bit of a letdown after this, if you were in comparison, but you know, it maybe look different now, but at that time it was like amazing, you know, to have all that. And none of the actual Beatles were were interviewed in it, apart from historical on it quite a lot. He was talking about certain songs, and it's probably because of that I got into a lot of the Beatles songs, and then led on to McCartney. But yeah, it's really good. Like I say now, because there's so much footage out there, and we just had the Get Back film, it'll probably look quite dated and crackly, the old VHS. If you were around at the time, it was like a massive thing to have.
No, but even for me, from my generation, the anthology series seems quite dated and kind of old-fashioned in the way it's made. But it's still worth it to see Paul McCartney being interviewed on a tugboat, you know, just
oh yeah.
And
or in that like before a gig or something, you see him sitting there, almost like a sound check, but you see him sitting there in the anthology doing his interviews as well. And
the fashion as well, like, oh, it's brilliant, because you know they were at the height of fashion in the 60s and 70s, but then just to see them all kind of wearing these dumpy, frumpy, loose-fitting, awfully patterned 90s clothing is just it's a wonderful little time capsule. And Paul's hair is the worst in the 90s as well. People have a go at his 80s hair, but for me it's the 90s hair, that kind of fading Beetle bob.
Yeah. And there is a big change between, like, from that period you're talking about to Flaming Pie. The hair's totally different, even though some of the pictures are from before that on the album, but like his hair's like much shorter and kind of looks more for the time. It's the right look for the time.
At some point though, the daughters just kind of intervened, I think.
Yeah.
Like, Dad, look, come on, Stella's got her own label now, you know, just let her sort you out. She's actually done a lot of Beatles stuff recently, like Beatles merch, and it's like, oh, if I had $7,000 lying around, yeah, of course I'd go for it. But not only are you paying for the Beatle premium, you're also paying for the Stella McCartney premium as well.
Yeah,
so, like, that's right. We need like River Island or H&M to do a Beatles line instead, something a little more affordable, I guess.
I know, yeah. So
let's move on to item number 2, number dos.
So number 2.
Are we back to the phone again?
Yeah.
All the best.
So the reason why I don't have it is it was a cassette. So it was around, so that came out in 87, the end of 87. And I don't even think my dad had the original. Somebody had made a copy, like a tape copy, cassette copy, for people in the younger generation. So you basically recorded it from one tape deck to the next. And so the cassette, and what was good about the cassette was, so we used to visit my auntie on a Friday night, and sadly she just passed away this year, but we used to visit her on a Friday night, and we would play, that would be what my dad would play in the car when we were coming home, and going there. And then I knew some of the songs, probably the songs I would know at the time would have been We All Stand Together and DCC and Ebony and Ivory. But like, I always used to think Band on the Run was like 2 separate songs, which I guess it kind of is. I used to think it was 2 separate songs, and then I looked at the track list and I was like, oh, I thought that was the same. I thought that was different songs. So that was the nice thing about back then, I suppose. You didn't really have that information, but it was quite nice as well. And just really loving a lot of the songs, and having all on a compilation. And there's also that memory of, you know, coming back from my auntie's house and listening to that in the car. And so really good memories. So there's a sentimental attachment to that as well. And what was different was the vinyl was edited. So on the cassette, I always find it quite strange. A couple of years later, my brother got the CD. In fact, the CD was edited as well, because on the cassette, you got Good Night Tonight, Maybe I'm Amazed, like the album version. And what was the other song? With a Little Luck, the full 5.5 minute album version. So you got them on that cassette, but you never got them on the CD issue or the vinyl, or certainly not the CD anyway.
It boggles my mind that they can't fit music on CDs. Like you can have whole video games on there which have soundtracks on them, and yet they struggle to fit a music MIDI file in. That literally makes no sense to me. Though, oh yeah, that truncated version of With a Little Luck is just, it's something. All right, it's something. You need to have the full version. You really do.
Yeah, I mean, that's my favorite.
Oh yeah,
like the synthesizer, but that's my favorite bit. I love that, the instrumental.
I've probably told this on the show a couple of times, but when I was at university, imbibing in the herb, shall we say, I remember just listening to that little solo towards it. I was just in tears. I was like, "This is so beautiful! I can't even handle it."
It's a terrible video, mind you.
Oh my gosh, it is. No, is that the one where he's just performing to a bunch of kids in front of a potted plant?
Yeah, there's like people dancing, but it looks like uncle dance, an uncle dance and stuff. It's terrible, and there's kids running around, and it's just a bit, it's a bit cheesy.
That's how I dance in real life, though. So I'm not going to judge. I'm really not. But the London Town video is terrible as well. Where they're walking through a purple soundstage room and on that track, that's really bad. And then what would the other one have been? I've had Enough's okay.
That's okay, yeah. That's quite rocky, and is that the first video where you see Lawrence Juber and Steve Hawley?
Yeah,
even if they didn't play on it, I don't think they're in the video.
No, but the Denny, Lawrence, Linda, Steve, they all appear in the Wonderful Christmas Time video as well. It's all part of that Wings marketing, so we gotta show all the members, I don't think you'd even be able to physically perform I've Had Enough with just Linda and Denny and Paul on screen, like me.
No.
But then again, Linda plays the upright bass in the what's the My Baby's Request video. Yeah, she's there just going boom, 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 boom. It's like, she ain't playing that. You ain't fooling anyone. You're really not. But speaking again, going back to Water Spout, that was meant to be on that album. If anyone out there has the original picture, because apparently there was some artwork even done for it, and some of the earliest versions of the album had the Water Spout logo on it, and it's just been expunged from the internet. It's really weird. It's like, it's when like people like Jeffrey Epstein and all those horrible people will actually have a video removed from the internet, and they pay hundreds of thousands of pounds for it. It's like that. The Steve Hoffman forums doesn't have it. It's not on Google anywhere. It's not on McCartney's website. Anyone out there can get me that Water Spout artwork, I'd be very happy. Big money.
Yeah, no, it's good. The Steve Hoffman website's good as well. Amazing artwork for a lot of stuff on the Steve Hoffman.
Who is Steve Hoffman?
Great.
Who is this Steve Hoffman, though?
I don't know who he is. It's just good. He has good artwork anyway.
It should just be called the Beatles Discussion Forum, because that's the only other context I see it in. Item number 3.
So item number 3, it's the archive.
CDs.
It's just discs from, and I have them all in order. Although they didn't come out in order, but I have them all. So I don't know if I can show you them. So
excellent.
So I've really enjoyed collecting. In fact, these are the only CDs that I keep now.
Are they all cardboard covers or?
Yeah. So the first one was Band on the Run. That was kind of. Then you had what's quite good. I wish they'd done it with the other ones. You got One Hand Clapping. You didn't get the whole. In fact, there's 3 discs. So there's the album, the bonus tracks, and there's some video footage in One Hand Clapping. I did actually have One Hand Clapping on DVD bootleg. I had that. Rock Show. Had that. And what was the other one? It was actually it's so hard to get McCartney video compilations, and it was I think it came from Russia actually, and it was like lots of different. It was like a compilation of the promo videos, which you could not get at the time. Really hard. But yeah, going back to these, so yeah, of course I started at 2010 with Band on the Run, and I just love how the packaging as well, and
very high quality.
It is really good. And even though I don't really collect CDs, I think I would always get the CDs. Like if London Town and Back to the Egg came out next, wink wink, I would certainly purchase them and all the other ones. But what I've liked about them as well, I was listening to another podcast, and it feels like with them being re-released, particularly Wildlife, it's given them a new lease of life. Like it feels like they're more appreciated, because even in the 90s, and I used to say to people, oh, like Paul McCartney, I love Paul McCartney. He's rubbish. John Lennon's much better. You know, that was the kind of feedback you used to get all the time. And what's quite good now, it feels like that's kind of shifted. It feels like he's getting the credit he deserves now. And yeah.
What's funny about that, though, is that by re-releasing Paul McCartney's work, it's getting more positive reviews. But I think, you know, all that Yoko and her camp are doing is releasing the same 2 albums over and over and over again. We've had Imagine and his debut, the Plastic Ono Band album. God knows how many versions there are of that. There's no like, oh, give us Walls and Bridges, give us Sometime in New York City or Men Love Avenue. We need them being redone. And I think if they were, it would introduce a whole new generation as to how they're not very good.
Yeah.
It'd probably do more damage than anything.
I know you're saying everything. Yeah.
I think most die-hard Lennon fans have Plastic Ono Band, Imagine, and that the vinyl where it's him really, really skinny with no glasses on, that Greatest Hits album, and that's about it.
Yeah. How many more times can you remaster or Ultimate Edition, or there's all the, you know, how many more times can you do that? But probably people like me who keep on buying it, so...
Out of those archive editions, though, what would you say is the best one, and what would you say is the one that needs maybe even its own re-release with a bit more added content?
Probably my favorite one's Red Rose Speedway, actually. I just probably more for the bonus tracks, and also what would have been the original double album, that you can put the tracks together and have like the double album. So I just think there's so much good material that could have been on the album. So for me, probably Red Rose Speedway, and I really like the artwork as well. So I know it's not one of your favorite albums, is it?
It's all right, but like if I am putting Wings albums in order and choosing a best or worst, it's going to be at the bottom end of the year. But I've got a soft spot for like Single Pigeon and Power Cut, you know, like, and if I was to put the album on, I will enjoy it from start to finish, but it's just, I won't enjoy it as much as others. And I say it so often on the show, where I say, this song's great within the context of listening to the album as a whole, but there's never been a time when I've gone, right, I need to listen to When the Night right now, you know. I need to listen to Lazy Dynamite as soon as possible. I'm going to go mad. It just doesn't happen. I know a lot of people are not that fond of the Band on the Run one, purely because it was a bit of a tester, and they've all kind of gotten much better since then. So, but it's also a bit like the issue with the early 50th anniversary Beatles re-release albums. It's like, is there actually any bonus content for the Please Please Me sessions? Like they picked the songs, they recorded them, and that's it. Any bonus material would probably just be a truncated version of the BBC sessions.
There isn't as much. And people would be, but are they going to be as interested to buy Please Please Me box set than they would the latter day ones that they've released? I mean, you will get people, of course you would, but maybe not as appealing.
It would more likely just be the remaster, and that's about it. Maybe like Rubber Soul and Revolver, you've got like the non-album tracks and stuff like that. But besides that, they pretty much just recorded everything they did. It's not really until, you know, White Album where it's like, oh, we've got this dearth of songs that we haven't put on. You know, we've got Sour Milk Sea and Not Guilty and Circles, all George songs.
Child of Nature.
Yes, which appeared in the Peter Jackson film a lot more. It appeared twice. I was like, why is Child of Nature in this twice? Oh my gosh. I didn't even know they attempted it for those sessions though. So clearly he was like, I'm gonna release this song. Me and McCartney are both gonna have a song with nature in the title.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Mother Nature's. Yeah, yeah.
Although,
So
was it Jealous Guy? It became in the end.
yeah, it became Jealous Guy. Yeah,
it's a way better lyric than "On the road to Rishikesh." It's like, oh, I've never liked that line.
No, it's such a brilliant, like, the Jealous Guy is an amazing song. And the funny thing about Jealous Guy was when I was growing up, I always saw that as I was kind of used to the Roxy music cover. So when John Lennon died, there was a Roxy music cover of Jealous Guy. We got to #1, Brian Ferry and Roxy music. And it's funny, it was maybe late 80s I actually realised it was John Lennon's song because I was used to Roxy music. Yeah.
Oh, there are plenty of Marmalade fans out there going, "Obladi obladas, not by them." What?
I know. And my least out of
this huge stack.
I know. Least favourite would be probably Wings at the Speed of Sound, which is not that I dislike the album. It's just that it's really skimpy on the extras. You only get like 6 bonus tracks.
And one of them is just Beware My Love with a slightly different drum track.
Yeah, John Bonham, yeah.
There's so much stuff from around that era that they could have chosen as well. Paul was doing so much stuff over that summer. And then it's like, just put an extra disc of Denny Lane's Holidays. Paul produced it. It's around that time. Just chuck it on, go on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's a good, I quite like the album. I know a lot of people, it's not seen as one of Wings' best albums, Wings at the Speed of Sound, but I quite like how he lets, it's quite a democratic album. Maybe the songs aren't as good because of that, but I do think it was quite good that he tried that.
It probably would have done a little bit better had they not released Seaside Woman by that point. I think if Linda's song on that album was Seaside Woman, or maybe not the Oriental Nightfish or something like that, it would have gone down so much better. But then again, I'm the kind of guy who would like to replace Motor of Love on Flowers in the Dirt with The White Coated Man. I think that's a much better song just in general, and giving Linda such a powerful album closer, I think that would rock a bunch of heads in a way that I'd find very enjoyable.
Do you know what I'd love to do with Motor of Love? I think it's a good song, but the production is terrible. It's so bloated and it's so 80s. Like, I think it's got the basis of a good song, but if they like take out the 80s production, I'd be happy with that.
Maybe see what they could do for the unplugged gig.
Yeah.
Motor of Love. Yeah.
From above.
Yeah. I mean, Ue Soleil, the fact that that's not on the vinyl will always be a bit of a stickler for me, but at least it's on the cassette and the CD,
Yeah, my dad had the record and it wasn't on. It was on the B side, I think, of
Figure of Eight.
Figure of Eight. My dad had the cassette single, yeah, because it was a remix.
Yes, the Figure of Eight single remix is far better than the one that's on the album as well.
Yeah, the album one was just a bit bland.
But then like the singles, so, yeah, come on, rock and roll, baby.
Like the live version, actually. The single's more like the live version.
Yeah, definitely.
Version is. But I remember first seeing the single, not single, it was on, do you remember Terry Wogan on the Wogan show?
I believe I've seen the clip you're on about, yeah.
Well, he did My Brave Face and Figure of Eight, and that was the first time that I'd heard Figure of Eight, and yeah, didn't think it was that great, but I like the remix.
No, I was never a fan of the Flowers in the Dirt stuff until I'd kind of become more of a McCartney aficionado. I think out of context it sounds quite bland, But you know, you can't just walk up to the young, cool, hip audience and say, no, but the melody's great. People just don't hear that. They just don't. So yeah, the entire archive CD collection, very, very jealous of that.
Yeah, no, so that's, like I say, that's the only CDs I have now. Just everything else is digital. But yeah, just something really special about them all. And you're probably going to laugh, but my fourth thing is actually, I don't have them, but it's made a massive influence on me with McCartney, more so than those actually, probably. And it was the early 90s re-releases, and I can't remember the exact, what they called, it was almost like the 1993 remasters. So you had like pretty much all the albums, with the exception of Tug of War, up to that point. You had bonus tracks, so that was really good. So at that point, I'd only heard probably Flowers in the Dark, Give My Regards to Broad Street, Band on the Run, and then they were doing like a sale in HMV or something, and it was like the Paul McCartney album. So I just started to collect them all, and the first ones I bought were, I think, Wings Over America, Tug of War, and then maybe every 2 weeks I'd go and buy the next ones. And it was just brilliant, you know, just like, so I think that was probably 94. So it was like Off the Ground had come out, but it had been slated a lot. So I didn't have that one. But it was just thoroughly enjoyable, because I'd already heard McCartney and Ram, because my dad had the vinyl. And it was just great to have them on CD. And then Wings Over America, hearing a lot of songs that you were familiar with, but in a different way. And even Back to the Egg, I mean, I hadn't heard not many of the songs really, but you had, like, what was good on it, you had the bonus tracks, Daytime, Night Suffering, Good Night Tonight.
I don't think Good Night Tonight was included, was it? I think
it wasn't.
It was just Daytime, Nighttime Suffering. Then you had Wonderful Christmas Time and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reggae, I think.
That's it. Yeah, it was included in the McCartney 2 one, actually, you're right. Good Night Tonight, the original reissue, it was on that. But so it was just great hearing these songs, because I used to see them written down a lot. I used to have like British Book of Hit Singles, and it had like all the singles for artists, and it had Paul McCartney, and it had like Give Ireland Back to Irish number 16. I've never heard that. And then it would have like Old Siamsa and Letting Go, and I'd never heard of them. So it was good to finally hear them on these albums. And yeah, it was just really exciting. And it went up to, yeah, like I say, Off the Ground. So in fact, it didn't include Off the Ground, but that was the most recent album at that point. So it was great just collecting them over a period up to that Christmas. So I maybe buy 3 at a time, but they weren't expensive, like a £5 maybe or something.
Oh, wow.
And getting Wings Greatest, because I know that's one of your favourites. One of the first ones you heard yourself, I remember getting that as well. There wasn't any bonus tracks on that, but a lot of the bonus tracks were excellent. You got on Red Rose Speedway, you had like The Mess, Hi Hi Hi, Seaman, I Lie Around. So that was like the 4 bonus. It doesn't seem much now in comparison to the one we have now, but at the time it was like really amazing getting those bonus tracks. Yeah, it's that.
I think I said this on a similar episode, or a recent one, that there's never going to be that big format shift again in my lifetime, as far as I'm aware. Like, you know, digital's here to stay, and you know, you had the jump from vinyl to cassette and 8-track, and then that jump was swiftly followed by CD. So there was probably a period of like 20 years where everyone was just buying the same albums over and over and over and over and over again. And
yeah,
those format shifts also kind of cemented in the public consciousness, I guess, as to what the definitive standard albums were. Because if your album didn't make it onto a new format change, it clearly wasn't very popular, and no one cared enough to have it be re-released. You know, it's always a big announcement when the Beatles are on anything. Like I remember when the Beatles first went digital and went on Spotify. That was a news headline. You know, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Good times. Although Paul and the Beatles now, even their YouTube pages basically contain their entire discographies, and that wouldn't have existed before the monetization of YouTube. But
no,
since, you know, you can get, you know, a good 5 million listens of like Here Comes the Sun or something, that's another revenue stream, and of course they're going to exploit that. Of course they are.
But yeah, it's just a different world now. But yeah, at that time it was really, and it was sentimental. You're going, oh yeah, because you did know some of the songs, and that's what made it good. So you felt it was a really good combination of familiarity, but discovering new songs as well. So, and even it was funny listening to Wildlife for the first time as well. It was, but I far prefer Wildlife to Pipes of Peace. You know, it's funny, yeah.
They're both criminally underrated as far as I'm concerned. The Pipes of Peace Archive Edition. I know that was your last item, but that's another one I think is particularly strong as well for the bonus content as well.
Yeah, no, that is good. And having, because what you don't get, I think we talked about before in previous podcasts, was Simple as That. You don't get that anti-heroin version, and you had that on the original Pipes of Peace early 90s remaster, but you actually can't get that now.
Yeah, that's just a lost piece of lost media, really.
Yeah,
it's like asking someone what the B-side to do. They know it's Christmases, you know. It's just can't find it anywhere, literally, except for like YouTube bootlegs. But I'm glad it's the original Simple as That, because I think that one's just way better. With that kind of synthy dirge thing to it. And It's Not On as well. What an incredible track.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, that is cool. And we did that on the True Musical Fact podcast. We did a show on if you combined those three albums, because they were recorded all at the same time. So you had like pretty much, say, Tug of War, Pipes of Peace, and Give My Regards to Broad Street, but you condensed it into one album. It was quite interesting, actually.
I've done that with Tug of War and Pipes of Peace, but throwing I'm Not Such a Bad Boy and No Values as well. Now you're really pushing it as to like what you can, what you can include. Oh my God, it's a tough one. I mean, just to be different and contrarian, I have to throw in like Tug of Peace as well. So I've got even less room. So yeah, the 1993 CD remasters. I'll just pretend I'm holding them up. I mean, it's on, they're on one of these shelves behind me. I imagine.
Yeah. And what was covers as well was that I didn't like it so much, but it was basically like you had, so let's say this was the cover, you had like, it was all white and it was like a little square. You had like the album cover, and it had the Paul McCartney collection down the side. So it wasn't like the full cover. It was weird. And obviously it wasn't cardboard or, it was the old CDs. But they're all, I think I got put all mine to Music Magpie. I just got these and I thought, I don't need them anymore, which is silly. But hey ho, you know, that was that.
You're a braver man than I wouldn't be able to part with any of this stuff, you know. There's that story of that old man and his brother who, like, that they lived in this tenement flat in New York, and they never threw away anything, and they had tunnels that they dug through all their newspapers and junk and stuff, and they put booby traps there to stop people. And one of them was found under like a half-ton pile of newspapers one day. Like, he was just crushed by it. And that's how I want to go out. I want some McCartney vinyl to fall off a shelf and pin me to the floor. You know, that's how I'm going out.
Yeah, no, it's some of these things. Yeah, they're so amazing to have, and it's all the memories as well, and what it means to you. It's not just the songs, it's what it means to you. And even material that people would say, oh, that's rubbish. it can still mean something to you, you know,
Mm.
individual, you know. So I would, yeah, great albums.
And as much as I like to talk about how important it is to have physical media and, like you say, the memories that are associated with it, at the end of the day, though, it is just stuff. You know, it is just stuff. It's not the important stuff like family and friends and good health and a good doctor. You know, that those are the important things. You know, I mean, my dog bites anything that comes through the letterbox, and my my Flaming Pie CDs, and you know that they've all got teeth marks in. But hey, you know, it's just stuff. It's just stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I think I told you in our last podcast, my dad wasn't happy with me. It was in the mid-90s, and he actually had the Let It Be box set, and it was like big book and stuff, the original one. But I wanted to cut pictures out to put on my wall.
Oh no, you didn't tell me that, I don't think. Oh my gosh, that's horrifying. Oh my gosh.
It was so good because my dad, he wasn't that bothered about it. Or he says he wasn't at the time, but yeah, that was a big sacrifice. So they ended up just going in the bin.
Oh, my heart. Oh, I
Yeah.
could have had that book. Oh no. Oh. Right. But before you put me into a cardiac arrest, let's have a look at your final item.
Okay. So the final item.
Oh, something actually physical. Yes.
It's kind of one of the things I've already showed you, but it's basically Band on the Run and what it symbolizes for me. So I'm just showing you the copy of the CD, but it's kind of like, for me, because I remember in the late 80s, there was a Paul McCartney, in fact, it was a radio show, because when Flowers in the Dirt came out, he was wanting to promote it because he hadn't really done much promotion for the previous album back in '86. And there was a radio show, and at that time, Paul McCartney was constantly being slagged off, really, because it was like John Lennon's this, and Paul McCartney's not good at all. He was just like a backing singer for John Lennon. And so it was quite good. This radio show came on, and then I remember reading books at the time as well. And when I was a kid at school, and there was a book, and it was about the Beatles, and it was about Paul McCartney. He wasn't so successful in the start of his solo career, but then Band on the Run came along. And so probably in the mid-90s of my own life, through going through a hard time, and then I always sort of, to make myself feel better, I'd put Band on the Run on, because I was kind of like, that's Paul McCartney finding his confidence after kind of, I suppose, critically as well. And it was almost like, for me, it was like I kind of used that as, I suppose, refinding my confidence as well. I mean, I'm not comparing myself to Paul McCartney or a musician, but just
I do it all the time, don't worry.
But there's just something about, like, everybody had written him off, and then he came back with that, and there's just something quite triumphant about it. And I think I listened to that album. I know it does get overplayed, the album, and it's probably not even my favourite McCartney album, but there's just something about that. It's a very confident album, and it's like, he shows you that he's still got it, and he can stick the two fingers up to his critics, and almost defiantly. So that means quite a lot, that album, and what it symbolizes for me from a young age. And from Paul McCartney being criticized, and that he's come back with that, and it was like massive, and sold more than All Things Must Pass, although people probably wouldn't realize that, but it sold more than that. And I think it sold more than Imagine as well. I could be wrong. I think.
Oh, got to check that out. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So there's just something about that. It was like somebody regaining their confidence after being kind of lambasted, maybe. So that means quite a lot to me.
I guess there probably would have been a similar feeling for people with something like Flaming Pie and Egypt Station as well,
Flaming Pies are very similar, actually, because that was like his first album that kind of like he found refound his mojo. And it was a big success, and critically and commercially. And so that it's funny you mention that, because it's very similar to Band on the Run for me. And it symbolized, I suppose, like certain albums symbolize times in your life, and you might associate that album with a happy time, and it makes you think of happy things. Oh yeah, I remember that. And vice versa, you might think of another album and it might remind you of an unhappy time. But that's the great thing about music, and Paul McCartney, all the different genres that he does. Yeah, he doesn't always get it right, but that's why we love him. I think,
It's the attempt that's the important thing.
Exactly.
I'm just here on the old ever reliable Wikipedia. Number 2 in the UK and US, top 20 in many other countries. By 2007, sold 1.5 million copies. So you are right. That's quite the commercial success, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's also 988 on the top 1,000 albums of all time.
Right. It was really good, because like I said earlier in this, that certainly as a teenager, kind of early 20s, no, in fact, to be a teenager at the time, if you said to people, oh, I really like McCartney, I've collected all his albums, they'd say, oh, he's rubbish, John Lennon's much better. And I would say, what, are you telling me that Band on the Run or Venus and Mars isn't better than Mind Games or Sometime in New York City? So I used to kind of stick up for Macca, say, come on. And it felt like Flaming Pie it was like, okay, actually, he is good, and that proves it to you as well. And after the anthology period as well, it was like, yeah, it was an exciting time, actually, at that time. I heard Young Boy on the radio, and that was the first introduction to it, and then got the album.
I still think that album might have had not 3 bad songs, but not 3 particularly strong singles.
What you're going to say?
Yeah, I mean, the title track, Some Days, and maybe something like Heaven. I think Heaven on a Sunday is a really good track. I think that'd be a low-key, easy listening hit,
Yeah.
Yeah, The World Tonight. I guess it's got the Steve Miller connection, and he wants to prove that he can still play a riff. I get that, but the fact that the title track wasn't a single, that's always bothered me. But hey, that's what your podcast is about,
Well, that's what we did. We trimmed it and took some of the songs out, but yeah, Flaming Pie, the song itself it's almost like a 90s Lady Madonna.
Yeah.
But it was just exciting at the time, because it was like, it was starting to be like Paul McCartney was cool now, after kind of being derided for years. They'd say, oh yeah, his stuff in the Beatles is good, but his solo stuff was rubbish. And you think all his solo stuff was like Mary Had a Little Lamb or something. It's like, no, it's not. I think
I'm just going through this top 1,000 songs of all time from the year 2000. We've only got 1 entrance from Wings at 515 with Band on the Run, and there's only 2 entrances from Paul. This is madness. This is so, as I said earlier, Flaming Pie, number 988. Then at number 909 we have Ram. Reload by Metallica's better than Ram. Rubbish. Oh my gosh. Some of the songs albums above this. Beatles Let It Be, only at 890. Okay, Tom Waits Closing Time. I'm glad that's
like Tom Waits.
Oh yeah. I never talk about it on my show though, ever. Right, Paul. I guess we are at the end of your virtual attic. I guess would be the best.
It's okay. Yeah, I just don't have many physical things are all, everything's digital now. So
I'm
apart from these,
yeah, for the first time, I'm going to have to actually go online, source things, and place them just above here where you
yeah,
are right now. This
yeah,
is what it is. Maybe I'll animate some little hands going, oh,
yeah,
hello, these are my
yeah,
McCartney archive albums.
yeah.
But no, dude, thank you for joining me. It was great being on
Right.
your podcast a few weeks ago, and I'm glad I could return the favor.
No,
And
thank you.
next up is getting your other half on, your better half.
Yes, yeah, yeah. He one of his 5 things is something I was going to use, but he came up with the idea first, so I didn't want to.
Nice. As long as he's got real things, that's all he has to do, really.
Yeah, I don't know. He does. No, I think he does.
I mean, because I could have done that on mine. Like, yeah, this is my McCartney Hofner bass. I don't have it with me, but I definitely have it. This is my Beatles White Album bootleg vinyl.
What my claim to fame, you're talking about eBay, was I used to have a book called Borrowed Time, which was about John Lennon's final days, and it was by his assistant Fred Seaman. And so I had that book, and I also had May Pang's autobiography. And somebody contacted me on eBay, said, "Oh, I'd be interested in buying the May Pang book off you." And it turns out it was a friend of May Pang's, because she didn't have that original copy.
Oh, wow.
So, and then I didn't speak to her, but it was through like messages, and May Pang got a copy of it. And so I sent the copy to her, so it was going to May Pang.
Wow,
So,
that is a claim to fame. That really is. And on that bombshell, folks, as
yes.
Jeremy Clarkson would used to say on the now defunct show Top Gear, we are at the end of another episode of Macca in Your Attic, a virtual one, definitely. I've been Sam Wiles. My guest today has been Paul Nicholson of the Trimming the Musical Fat podcast. Links are down below. Make sure you go check out the episode or episodes we did together a short while ago. I had a lot of fun listening to them. But as always, folks, keep listening to Paul. Keep listening to the Beatles. Peace and love. Harry Krishna. No more autographs. Take care, everyone.